Welcome to the Hero Escape Podcast, your weekly escape from the honesty of your magic 8-ball. Should we make this movie? Shake, shake. Definitely not. I am one of your three co-hosts, the eighth deadly sin, Marvel Envy, and I am joined by...
I am the Wisdom of Solomon, who did not appear anywhere in this movie.
Dang it, you beat me to the punch, Saxoblonius. And I am Mozhos, Shazam spelled backwards. But before we get into today's topic, which was going to be the review of the Shazam movie, we do have a brief and very important dedication. And my dedication is to the Wisdom of Solomon. May it rest in peace.
Yeah.
They did mention it when the
It was
when
said
the wizard,
briefly by the Wizard of Shazam.
Yeah, so they did mention the different powers. Everyone's after a power of one of the Greek gods type thing.
The briefest cameo, and then they wrote him right out.
Wrote him right out of the movie, which is a real shame because a year ago today we were doing our tournament and we had Shazam in it, and he kicked major patootie in it because we were including.
The wisdom.
All
seven powers.
So there's two for those who don't have a deep history in Shazam. I guess we can give you backstory. We want to go right into the review on the character.
I think the movie.
So okay, real quick. So there was even a thing where the actor Zachary Levi was kind of buddying up with the Captain Marvel movie that just came out from Marvel, and the reason for that is his character Shazam was originally known as
Captain Marvel.
Long story short. This character, Shazam, was created, who's big, invincible, can fly, can do all these amazing things. And there became at one point the highest selling comic book back in like the 30s or something like that, maybe the 40s. And DC Comics sued the author printers of Captain Marvel at the time because they said it was
Comics.
What's that?
Fawcett Comics.
Yes. Okay. And because they said it was copyright infringement, you've essentially just redid Superman. And that's true. And they actually won the lawsuit. Yep. So then that Fawcett Comics, they went under. Eventually DC buys the rights to the Captain Marvel character. They introduced the character later. And Shazam, and in our tournament that we had, Shazam he's basically got all the powers of Superman. He's basically Superman with a couple tweaks here and there in the character. And throughout his history, there's been two ways that DC at least has presented Shazam. One has been a kid in a man's body, and the one where it's like, I'm friggin' is toe-to-toe Superman awesome, right? Yeah. That legit and awesome and, the
better way
and
is
cool.
What you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was very clear in the trailers from the get-go to me that they were going to go the kid in a man's body way, which negates there's no way to work in that whole Wisdom of Solomon into that character, or at least it gets goofy if you try to, and I don't ever see them really do it. But anyways,
it's a test for a writer to do it. I was even fine with the way it seemed this movie was going to go with the slightly immature Shazam, but I'm like, but when the chips are down, he has to include that. They have to write that power in. They can't completely ignore it. And I feel like they did completely ignore it.
Yeah, I've never seen it show up, but that power necessarily show up, at least not in any story changing way. But usually, like he can set his jaw and act like a man and a tough guy and not necessarily afraid like a kid would be. You know what I'm saying? He acknowledges he's a man and and so he doesn't have to be afraid like he was in the movie. But regardless, I was actually, when I saw the trailers, I was like, this is great. And to me, I thought this is the only way they can make the movie is to do it with him being a kid and a man's, and I thought I was excited to watch it because it was going to be such a different take than any of the other superhero movies. You said, anything the other day, like when they made the movie Glass, that they had to do it this way so that it wasn't just white noise.
Right. Yeah.
Like to make it different where it's actually, what if a kid got superpowers? And to me, I thought it was a great way to connect with your audience, the younger audience. Like, what if you, the 14-year-old, got superpowers? How awesome would that be? And so it was made for a different origin story to make it stand out. And if they had gone the other way where it's, kind of just a clone of Superman, it would have been hard to really make it stand out, or people would have just been like, it's just Superman. So maybe it would have been a test for a writer, like to what you were saying. So to me,
I think
on the outside looking in, I was
it.
excited for it because it was going to be a different take on a superhero movie. We hadn't seen that recently. And I will say, for the younger audience, my teenage son who saw it loved it. He said, "This is my favorite DC movie."
Really?
Yep. He says he felt bad because his other brothers really like Aquaman. They haven't seen Shazam yet. It's like it's like that and Aquaman. Like he didn't want to take off his older brothers, but he really so it nailed that audience, the Shazam audience, and I think the Zachary Levi character was perfect person to do that because he's in all of his previous roles. Like when you ever seen this show Chuck, like, he's that goofy character. It totally worked for that.
I guess maybe that.
You point out why Dave is an idiot now. I'm kidding.
Mazhaz to you.
Mazhaz.
Yeah.
I think, especially listen to what you're saying, I think that I went in colored heavily by comic book Shazam and the Alex Ross, the painting artist that does all the painted panels.
Very chiseled and completely
and like a man's man and like a grown up, you know what I mean? So going into this movie, I felt like low interest, like I was at like a 6 going in.
Because you knew it wasn't going to be that.
Yeah, and I just from the trailers thought this doesn't seem like it's going to be that great. And hearing you talk, I just think maybe if I had gone in thinking this is just a superhero movie about what if a kid became a superhero, that would actually work better for me than probably the expectations I had of he's going to have a hero's character arc and like all of the development that goes into that. And by the end, there's going to be an emotional sense of he's grown up and arrived like Thor at the end or, whatever. Like, and I did not get any of that sitting there watching it. So
I didn't think you would get that just from the previews, the trailers.
So the preview was like, goes up to the window, don't scream. You're the only one I know who knows anything about the superhero business, right? Like it was so goofy.
I don't feel like you got the movie that they promised you in the trailers either.
I totally think we did. Wow. I really want you to explain that because I know you're being honest.
I feel like they...
What did the trailers make you think you were
I feel like they promised this very fun, lighthearted movie and you got a few minutes of that. And then the rest of it, you got Billy Batson being kind of a butthole to everybody around him for the most of the movie. Also, you got these Dr. Savannah, who I thought was darker than he needed to be. The demons coming up, biting people's heads off. This was, I thought a movie I'd be able to take my 9-year-old to. And now I'm saying absolutely not. He cannot see this movie. It's too scary. And you even had said that you heard a lady walk up to the theater employee saying, kind of disappointed in their recommendation that they could take their children in there.
Yeah.
Saying, I should not have taken, it was still scary. I should not have taken my kids in there at your recommendation.
The director of this movie,
I thought you were going to say you were surprised that it was funny and that
I didn't think it was that funny. I didn't think it was that funny. I mean, there was a couple minutes of it, but I saw them already in the trailer. There was no surprises of funniness.
I thought there was tons of surprises.
I felt like
when they're testing his superpowers, that went way more.
I saw that stuff in the trailer.
Well, actually, all we know is that his suit is impervious to bullets. Shoot him in the face. Yeah, shoot me in the face. Yeah. What? No,
I don't feel like
that cracked me like that's exactly a dumb thing a kid would do without thinking that through.
Yes, and there were definite moments. So I feel like we're like a gradient here. Where like you're a hard no, you're a hard yes, and I'm in the middle because I feel like there were moments that I laughed at that were legitimately funny, but it was very uneven in tone. Kind of what you're hinting at. That
I think that's fair.
At moments, it would be very dark and very over serious. And like what I was going to say is the director, his last 2 movies were horror films, and you can see that in the sequence in the boardroom.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like all of those shots, everything is structured, horror movie style. So there's,
I don't feel like this movie should have had any of that because it's a kids movie. They shouldn't. But it's not. There should not have been a horror element to it.
The trailer made it feel like it could be almost a PG movie, but it was definitely a PG-13 movie. PG-13. So to me, I'm like, it's PG-13. It fit PG-13, but I guess I do see what you're saying. It almost felt like it could have been a PG movie. They advertised it like
this will be a fun kids movie, and I don't feel like it was that. And I even felt like they went too much of a jerk with Billy Batson for me to even. I was like, I don't really want my son watching this kid be a jerk for an hour plus before he decides to. Finally, for some reason, at the end, decide not to be a jerk. I'm still not even sure why he decided not to be one, but...
Yeah, and that's really the meat, probably, of our discussion, is the hero arc. and how it was executed. Presumably from your previous statements, you think that it was a good, well done.
No. I had some problems with it for sure. I was entertained. I thought it was funny, and all that stuff. But I was surprised with some of the serious moments. But I heard some people, there are, like, even on the radio, someone saying, there's some dark moments. I didn't think any of the movie parts were all that dark, but I wasn't watching it from a standpoint, can I take my 9-year-old? None of my kids watch movies until they're PG-13 movies, so 13. So it was just like, that wasn't even a thing. So I was just watching it for me. I'm not as good a parent as you. I wasn't thinking, like, can I take my kid to it? But for me, I was like, yeah, it's fine. The darkness wasn't too much for me, so it didn't set up a red flag, right? But,
no nightmares?
I didn't want horror scene stuff in my movie. Not that I'm...
Yeah, I could have done without it.
I just felt like, I don't even want this.
Yeah. So, I didn't know much about the villain character. I thought that was interesting. There were some things that tripped me up. Like, I didn't see it was kind of a cool surprise that they sort of went the Captain Marvel family route, which is a thing in the comic books. I haven't seen it done in a long time. I also don't.
Yeah, and I feel like they overdid it because I think historically it's only been 2. There's been Mary and other boys.
There's a ton of them, but them all showing up at once did seem a bit novel. There are. I did look it up. There are a lot of them. You could, overdone is a fair thing.
I feel like it was a huge mistake to do it in the first movie, and I know we talked about that. A huge mistake to steal Shazam's thunder in the first movie.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to jump to the ending yet, though, because I am intrigued in digging into the actual arc of the main character, because I feel like that.
So to go back to that, let me say, I really would have liked this guy to, and I'm just saying it this way. I'm not saying they had to copy Captain America, but I would have liked to see him take the Captain America story arc of Billy Batson already being a really good person that then gets these powers that enables him to be a better person. And let's see him go through the trials that make that difficult, right? He kind of has that in the comics, that Captain America beginning, that I'm a little kid. I come from a hard upbringing. I not a good family life, but I still make good choices. And then I all of a sudden, through whatever, by being a good person, it was Captain America. It's by Dr. What's his name, seeing that he's a good guy,
giving him the super soldier serum and whatnot. Yeah.
And in this one, it's by the Wizard Shazam choosing him. But this movie disappointed me. Like, he's trying to look for people that could be a righteous champion for him. And then it came down to Billy Batson, and he still couldn't be. He was just like, well, you're all I have left. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's like Thor getting a hammer being unworthy.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're the only guy that can, you can pick up the hammer, so just go, hopefully you're a good person. Right there was kind of the turning point for me. I'm like, all right, this movie just disappointed me, because now he's not really a hero. He was just the last guy the guy could find.
I think it works. I mean, I understand that it might be disappointing from the original source reading, but to me, that fits a story arc because it's the reluctant hero. I didn't choose this. I didn't want this. He wasn't looking to be made a hero. People in history, heroic moments were forced upon them. And that was the case here in the movie. He had no desire to be a hero. I mean, he did stick up for his quasi brother, right? And run away from the bullies or whatever, but like, he had no desire to be a hero. All he wanted to do was to
even
find
when he was
his mom.
given the powers, he still didn't want to be a hero, and that all just very disappointed me.
So you're right. So that part did carry on long. Like, I want him to appreciate the power. Yeah, and I agree with that too, because he didn't really appreciate the power, which he gets called out from with his brother Freddie, right? I think that's the kid's name. Yeah. Freddie kind of calls him out and like, you don't appreciate all this, you don't, and so they at least get the moral clarity in that point, like, you don't appreciate what you have. Yeah, I wish I
probably could have accepted that, a small amount of that, but I feel like it went on too long, and I feel like I needed for there to be that trial where he says, "Oh, I need to be better. This is why I need." And I don't ever really feel like I got that.
So I think they were trying to make it
to when he found his mom, and then I'm like, what from this makes him decide to be good?
Exactly. They didn't turn that corner enough with that moment, but that moment was like, my wife was like crying and stuff. Like, can you imagine? Like, you search for I mean, there are some very cool redeemable character traits. This kid has been on his own, running away, determined to find his mom, though all the grown-ups around him are saying, forget it. Right? And the fact that he went through a whole list, and that kid is resourceful. He tricks the cops and locks them in there, uses their scanner, finds the edit.
He was a clever delinquent.
Yes,
That's what I wanted to see.
Okay, but there's some redeemable qualities there that he never gave up. That he never gave up on finding. Then when he finds her, that his hero turned out to be terrible. Right? It's like, I just wanted you to know I didn't run away. He's thinking, I wasn't trying to leave you. I wasn't trying to run away. And she's like, yeah, now it's not a good time for me. I wanted to reach through the screen and smack her. That's, you're terrible person.
I think
so. That was heart wrenching. And if they had somehow, and I think maybe I'm just wanting to see it, but I don't want to be like that, where I'm so selfish. If you'd seen when I'm not the power that my mom had to be my mom, to be my hero, she neglected it and left, and that's tragic waste of the connection we could have had. And now I'm wasting my tragic powers that were given to me and the responsibility I have, and I need to do right by that. If they connected that a little bit better,
was in the movie.
I know
that would have been cool.
That's what I'm saying. They were heading there, and then they just didn't get it.
Yeah, thoughts.
I think that they sort of lost this on a lot of little nuances that they didn't hit that were key. And this is a little bit why my tongue-in-cheek joke at the beginning about Marvel envy, because I think that they were trying to execute a hero arc, but didn't understand it and therefore failed. Like what you guys were saying earlier about him getting chosen. And you're saying, well, it works for him to be reluctant. Yes, but it works if he is the chosen one and then he's reluctant. It doesn't work if he's not the chosen one. He's just the last resort and then he gets chosen and then he's reluctant, because now there's no sense of destiny there. And you literally from that moment feel like
that's not a box I would draw. I think it's fine if he's not the chosen one. He doesn't have to be chosen for me, but
there's
I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but for me, it doesn't, I don't draw that tight a box around it for me.
Well, there's an implication of goodness in being chosen. And that's part of the issue is you need that little, message from the creators to say he does have the correct character, even if we don't see it right now. So you just sort of know, and then his actions.
And they didn't go that route.
I would probably change the language a little bit.
I wish it was.
I would probably change your language, and maybe this is what you mean or maybe not. But I didn't want him to be predestined or to be the last guy. I wanted him to be worthy, and I don't feel like he was ever worthy.
That's what I'm saying.
When he was supposed to be, he was looking for someone worthy, and he never found that guy. And we just got Billy Batson, and hopefully he's good. And he wasn't for most of the movie. He wasn't the hero that he should have been.
So then he turns, and
I would have preferred to see the Captain America arc, and I think that would have been a better movie and a better character.
Yeah.
So when he turns and decides to be good, he decides to defend his family. He finally calls them and considers them his family. And to me, I think perhaps in the writer and director was that was his heroic moment. But I'm in my opinion, that's the friggin' least you could do. A remotely decent human being would do that. That wasn't necessarily heroic. Yeah. You have all this power. At the very least, you protect the people that clearly care about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that wasn't really a heroic thing. That wasn't a big heroic corner to me. Okay, you're not a terrible person. You know, at least. You know what I'm saying?
And the delinquent things you're talking about, you can have him do things that are technically infractions of the law, or maybe, running away from home, but you can be very careful to show a thread of good intention and motive in there. So say he's trying to find his mom. That's he closes the police in, but he's very careful to make sure that there's some way that they can get out. He gets in, he doesn't steal the guy's lunch. He looks up the information and then he leaves and makes sure that they can get out. And that tells you he only did this because he had no other option, as opposed to, like you say, you get a little bit of a feel of he's enjoying this kind of thing.
I did never at one point like the kid in the movie. I liked Zachary Levi playing Shazam a few times because he's a good actor and he's charismatic, but I never once was I like this Billy Batson guy. I was this kid's a jerk, and I sort of hope he gets beat up.
And that's all I'm trying to say is
I liked all the kids. I thought they were awesome.
Yeah. These are the kinds of details that the Marvel screenwriters struggle over and make sure that they get right. Those tiny little things, because they're all, maybe I'm overanalyzing this because
we are doing an adult analysis on a movie that I don't think was trying to be an adult. You know what I'm saying? But it does explain why it resonated or doesn't resonate, because good storytelling is good storytelling. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do.
Exactly. And I feel like the whole scene with his mother should have been moved deeper into the second act as opposed to way up in the third or right before the third act started, where it was like just a little bit earlier on, so that, like you say, he's got that moment and then that development to really sink in the message of why he did that.
I think
it
that would have
felt
helped.
weird happening in the middle of this ramp up of action and everything's about to go down, and then
I don't know, the way he handled that remarkably well.
I'm gonna nitpick this too. I was really hoping, because you have this awesome power set that he does have, even if we exclude the Wisdom of Solomon, he still has a great power set.
Yeah.
And I felt like the action scenes were weak sauce. Like, I don't really even feel like I saw like a decent fight scene between anybody in the movie.
yeah, well, you end up in a weird spot when you got two guys that can fly and they do super punches. So what are you going to do? You're going to show them do the choke fly up, which they did. You're going to show them do the punch through the building situation, which they did. It's a little bit like Man of Steel, right? That fight at the end. That is the style of fight you're going to have. It's not going to be Captain America and Winter Soldier duking it out on a highway.
I realize,
you know what I mean? Like it's,
but there were some
Zack
decent
Snyder did
little
not make this
scenes
movie.
between. In Man of Steel, there were some decent scenes that showcased the power set and fighting with those abilities. Some decent ones, not great. And I feel like, but this scene, I feel like this completely missed the mark. I mean, and like I said, near the end of the movie, and I realized they're trying to portray maybe kids aren't used to having these powers, but there's all these people with powers, and they're still running from monsters, and I'm like, why aren't you doing anything helpful? You're now the strongest people on the
little
planet.
black girl growing up, she was adorable.
Yeah, she was cute,
I'm
but
really
she was
fast. Like, it was adorable.
not really helping people that much. I guess she ran real fast and caught some people, but I'm like, these action scenes were TV show caliber action scenes. They weren't movie caliber action.
are we totally bringing you down yet with our?
The monsters were not TV caliber. Those like Demon Ghost Seven Sins, like, to me,
They were some of the better CG that DC has done.
Yeah, they were creepy looking, man. They were, anyways, they were gross. To me, like, if you're gonna do something, the word like the 7 deadly sins, to me, like, if you're gonna use that, you almost need to bury that more to the hilt to make them like they were just like scary monsters, but like you didn't like focus on their particular sin and how they particularly attacked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I
there's
couldn't
saying
tell
like
them
he's kind of
apart.
guessing who was who a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, like, how is this a thing for them? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're this fast guy, you're going to be looking really fast, like Flash looks really fast, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You know, and if you're the muscly guy, you're going to be looking like Hulk. And so we kind of and I think they all look gruesome, like Sin turns you.
But literally,
gruesome.
Gluttony was the only one I could tell.
Oh, that's Gluttony. Yeah. Which was super creepy when his mouth opens all the way down his belly.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, whoa!
But it's like the dude with the
back
wings. Why does he have wings? Who is he supposed to be? That he has wings and he seems like he's a little bigger. Like,
Right.
you know?
So, but like, if they got more of that, then they'd be going even more dark. And so, like, I guess maybe that's why they didn't do it. But
I don't know. I feel like they missed the mark on the whole 7 deadly sins, or they should have been a little more. You either make it a serious Captain America style movie, or you make it a fun kids movie, and they dabbled a little bit in both and didn't pull off either one.
I think they weren't clear on the purpose of the.
Yeah, there were. I feel like I do nitpick, but I will let some things go. I will nitpick some things, say I don't like this, but overall it's still a good movie. But there's a point when you're like, I have so many problems with so many small things in here. Now it's a bad movie. Even the bus scene when he catches the bus bothered me so much.
Let's talk about the physics.
Just the physics of it.
I know.
You can't catch
as soon on the glass.
You can't catch 20 tons on glass.
And it's already the glass is already cracked.
The glass
I know, like, that isn't how that should have worked.
Didn't anybody making this movie say, "Hey, we probably should film this differently because of physics"?
Yeah.
Right. You know,
Think about how many other superhero movies or whatever that
They
you've
always have
seen
grab the metal.
where they grab something and the metal like crumples a little bit
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the spots where they make contact, and like there's somebody doing the CGI that's like, hey guys, the physical properties of metal.
I'm always
You know,
curious in those instances if no one brought it up, if everybody was that dumb, or if someone brought it up and the director or somebody says, it's our audiences don't care. We do care. I care because I'm not dumb, and you must think I'm dumb.
Yeah. And that was also a moment
I don't
where
think you're dumb.
You wanted him to
You're
go.
the wisdom of Solomon.
I am the wisdom of Solomon.
You wanted him to go all the way. You wanted that to be the moment where he's like, I got to save this bus. And he has this heroic moment. And he sort of, it's like a light bulb going off in his head. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you know, like
So
there's more responsibility to this, and that was supposed to be what it was, but it also got diluted by the villain showing up right away, and just anyway.
Something that was a plot thingy that bothered me. Maybe you guys could help me understand. Okay, why would he break the staff? I think he broke the staff so that the guy couldn't make him give him his powers, right? But he broke it after he gave powers to his brothers and sisters. Does that mean they're permanently mini Shazams, or was it just for that one instance until they said Shazam again? And where
they're permanently, but it's like him saying these are the only people that will ever be converted again. This is exactly how many sequels we're going to have right here.
Because I don't think they say. I don't. They didn't explain how the staff thing worked well enough to say. So now, can they permanently do it, or is it just like that one thing that he that one time gave them? Because in the case of the wizard, he opened up everything and gave him all his powers. Yeah. But in the case where he didn't give them all of his powers because he still was Shazam-y after he gave it. So they didn't explain that. Maybe they didn't have to. But if there's going to be a sequel, I'd be interested to find out. So are there?
Oh yeah, that's true. That is a little bit of a mechanical inconsistency.
In the comics, in the old comics, Shazam imparted them a little bit of his power. Like they were not as powerful as him, and they did weaken him a little bit to do it.
Yeah.
But to the point where like it still was an overall increase in powers, right? But so I don't know if that's the way they're going. I don't. Based on the movie, I don't think the director thought that much into it. I don't think he thought very much into a lot of it.
Yeah, At the point they were at in making DC movies, they probably had a fairly low bar, They wanted to do the fun movie.
I'm telling
they
you,
wanted it to do better than Suicide
That
Squad.
Teenage market, they nailed it. The kids...
Yeah, look, the Rotten Tomato scores reflect that.
Enjoy it, and a lot of people, and that's fine if they do, but I'm just I wanted a higher class of movie, and I did not get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's well thought out.
At the end of the day, it comes down to expectations going in. And I think that I had expectations going in of a little bit more...
How messed up? Sorry.
Adult heroic Shazam eventually. Yeah. I could tell that it wasn't going to be right away from the trailer, but eventually. Yeah. And the lack of that was a little bit troubling. And you know what? We're spoiled by Marvel movies. I mean, I know it's, some people say it's an unfair comparison, but that's the reality. Like we've had...
The biggest... The biggest problem I had with that movie was the whole time I was seeing it. It's the same problem I had with Captain Marvel. Was the whole time I was sitting there watching it, I was just kept thinking, man, I just want to watch Endgame.
I'm not worried about that, but I do think that I'm not thinking about Endgame, but I do think that I don't, if you're DC or if you're Marvel, whatever, I feel like you can't deny that the Marvel movies are so good. I mean, the action scenes are filmed so expertly. The dialogue, even people might just say, "Oh, they're just dumb action movies," but the dialogue, I think, is I love it. I feel like they're executing these movies near to perfection, as close as you could do with a comic book movie, and they've set the bar so high that I'll go into like something that maybe 7 or 8, 10 years ago I might want to watch Shazam and thought was awesome, but now I'm like, well, I have these expectations because the Tony Stark character arc is so amazing to watch, and the Captain America story arc is so amazing to watch, and all of these story arcs are so good. I expect that from other movies, and these writers and directors in the era of Marvel movies showing you what to do to be successful, they're like, nah, we'll go down our own road.
And that's what I don't understand. Like everybody remembers when the first iPhone came out, right? And everybody was like, oh my goodness, this is a game changer. It caused this huge buzz. But what did Samsung and the other people do? They started making touchscreen phones and all that. The quality of the whole industry came up. Why is that not happening in the superhero movie market? It's as if all the other phone companies are like, nah, we're going to stick with the buttons and the flip phones.
I feel like they focus on the wrong thing, right? Like Marvel did the de-aging CG, so now DC starts doing it in their movies. Like, that's not the point of the movie, is to showcase de-aging CG.
Guys, this is getting us at least an extra 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, like,
just the de-aging.
Bring up the level of your writing. Bring up your story and the story of your hero, the arc of your characters. Bring that up. I don't care if you have to show an old actor as old.
But my inner child loved the adventure of him exploring the powers with his little friend, Freddy, and experimenting how he traps him in a box on fire. And
that was all fun and funny.
Come on, there was some,
I will say, if I could have gone in totally blank, not having a clue who Shazam was, no background at all, and just heard from somebody, hey, this is a movie about a kid who becomes a superhero, I probably would have enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I might would have too. But I
also, if I'd never ever seen a Marvel movie.
I wanted Billy Batson to be a good guy, and he never was a good guy.
He was okay at the end, but yeah, I would have liked to have believed in him, in his character a little. I think that's fair. I believe in him and liked him more than you do, but that's okay. But your criticisms are well founded. I'm not saying they're not. But yeah, I would like to have, but that leaves maybe some more arcing storytelling in a sequel if they get to making a sequel.
They are making a sequel.
Are they? It's officially
out today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never can tell with DC because they
now
have no idea what they're doing. They are
Shazam 2, more Shazamier.
Yeah, exactly.
More Shazamier. Yes.
Shazam 2, Electric
Boogaloo.
Boogaloo.
Well, it doesn't
my goodness. Oh my goodness. I kind of was expecting, dude, the villain backstory was pretty messed up.
Yeah, that was another gripe that I heard in some comments and stuff was like the verbal abuse scene in the car opening of the movie. It was kind of like, oh, okay. I know it's Christmas time right now, but no toys.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like you as much as your older brother. Wink, wink, nod, nod, elbow, elbow, older brother. Ha, ha, ha.
That's why, I mean, that makes sense for him being evil, I guess. That's totally messed up. Which again works if I was just enjoying it for myself, not thinking it needed to be a kid movie. I didn't have any desire for it to be a kid movie, but
yeah. We actually had kids in our theater that probably added to the awareness too was,
okay.
Young.
The other huge beef I had, I was sitting next to an older gentleman, lots of gray in his head and beard. And he was one of those guys. Okay, come on, everybody on the other side of the audience here. He was one of those guys, I swear, if he was watching like a Tom and Jerry cartoon and, Jerry pulls out a hammer and whacks Tom's hand or something, goes, yeah, he'd be the guy going, like chuckling out of his gourd at every little joke. It was obnoxious. Like, this would literally be more fun for me if you stopped thinking it was so fun. Like, you are over the top ridiculous. It's not that funny. You know what I'm saying?
Like lean over and whisper something depressing in his ear. Aww.
Maybe you've never seen a movie before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he'd never seen a movie before. So.
Yeah, I was just, but he was all in. He had
That's what these are like? These are awesome.
Yeah, he had like his snacks and he had a blanket on. I think he even had like a Shazam t-shirt on. Like, he was excited for that movie.
Wow.
I did not think, okay, normally you sit next to a little kid, you're going to have some, but it was like, anyways, just everything was just a little too hilarious for him, which kind of ruins. And then I just wanted it to be Endgame. But okay,
all right,
I enjoyed the movie.
I
have no more grievances. There was a lot of scenes that I thought were worthwhile and fun and entertaining. I really did like it. There's a lot more to the mythos of the character that I didn't know about that they introduced. Interesting things to explore.
I think
plenty of room for improvement, though.
I think the lead actor did a fantastic job. I mean, he said the words they told him to say in the manner they told him to say them, and he's very charismatic. I liked watching him.
The suit worked better than I thought it would.
Yeah,
those pictures that I saw, I'm like, oh my gosh, that does not look super real, but it moved exactly. I did. It was not a distractor like I thought it was going to be.
They kind of leaned into it anyway, talking about the suit at different points.
Yeah. So the suit worked. I was thinking that was going to be a problem. I didn't actually have a problem with it. Yeah, I was happy.
Anyway, anything else to say about Shazam?
Okay, we got
scores.
Yeah, give it a final score.
I'm gonna go with a 6.9.
6.9.
Obviously, they get their Matt Damon point, which ekes them out a 7. But yeah, it was like right on that line for me. I mean, yeah.
You said 7 is a good score. You guys,
I know. I don't.
You just
really,
like verbal diarrhea on this thing.
I don't
and
think
then
that
you
I've
gave it
ever dipped down sub 5. So I need to reevaluate my 1 to 10.
Didn't you have a list one time of like
our last podcast? Yeah. So like,
I don't remember what it was. What 5,
6 is like I enjoyed it. I'm not going to necessarily see it again, but I didn't waste my money. 5 is like, okay, I'm never going to see that again, but I'm not angry that I spent the money. 7 is I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed it. I think if someone else watched it, like, hey, it's a good movie. You'll enjoy it.
Well, then a 5.
8 I will definitely.
Yeah, that's, I think I go 2 5.
Yeah.
Then, I guess.
So 8 is I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to own it, which if it's a Marvel movie just for sake of collection, I'm going to always buy. So 8, really, really enjoyed it. Definitely going to watch it again. 9, I really enjoy that movie. I have to own it. I will watch it repeatedly.
I'm going to tell other people to watch it.
Yes, I will insist other people. And 10, like this, like blew my mind and is affecting my life in wonderful ways. Right. Yeah. So like that's a 10, right? So like, the original trilogy Star Wars, like that was my life, so stuff like that was.
Well, I was thinking,
but you rated on your score,
I was thinking in the 6 realm, but if I think about it like that, I think I probably have to move it down to 5.
And
honestly, and because I tend not to want to be a bad guy, I guess, and I like that there was a Shazam movie made, but this movie disappointed me. I probably have to, you know what, because I like Zachary Levi, I'm not going to give it an even 5. I'm going to go 5.3.
You're just a kind-hearted man.
Yep. You earned them those 0.3 points, Zach.
Well, I enjoyed it. Someone tells me they're going to go see it. I'm like, yeah, you'll enjoy it. It's a fun movie. And so it's a 7 for me. It's a happy 7. It was not as good as the standard.
A happy
like
7, not a begrudging 7.
No, it's a happy 7. It's a happy 7. So like the adventure, almost all Marvel movies for me are an 8. Mm-hmm. And it was not as good because some of the things we talked about as a standard mark, but it's an enjoyable movie. People ask me this, I like, yeah, it's about a little kid getting powers. It's more goofy, it's more silly than the other ones, than like the Marvel movies, but enjoy it. I had fun. So there you go.
I'm going to use your same phrase, except I'm going to say it's about a little jerk getting powers and then watching him be a jerk for
I don't think he was
an hour and 40 minutes.
You are harsh, man. I thought he was a pretty good kid who acted like a teenager.
Jerk.
Okay, we have to end on a fun note.
I won't say anymore.
What is this fun you speak of?
Okay, we're gonna bring back an oldie but a goodie. Okay.
Oh.
Everybody's favorite.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Ding 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 ding, bing ding 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 ding, bow down down. Who would win?
Not Shazam.
Captain Marvel versus Captain Marvel. Oh,
the movie versions we just saw.
Okay, yeah.
If we go movie versions,
Captain
Brie
Marvel.
Larson wipes the floor with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Can she even hurt Zachary Levi?
Well, here's the thing. At the end of our Captain Marvel review, we all said, wow, there was a lot of power creep at the end. Like, she went, like, supernova. Like, you know what I mean? So, based on that, I mean, it's like, she wouldn't even have to touch him. She'd just energy blast him continually. I mean, yes, it's hard to say.
Still, could she hurt if Superman was all suddenly not very good at fighting? You got Shazam. Zachary Levi Shazam. Could that Captain Marvel even still hurt him?
Well, he bled in the movie, didn't he?
When a guy with equal power punched him in the schnoz.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think they made her that powerful.
You will.
You will.
If Savannah made him
bleed. Captain Marvel's sort of subtitle, Shazam, is the most powerful mortal, like in the most powerful human. He's the most.
I know we have to not make him our tournament.
So,
Shazam, we have to make it.
We're going movie version.
Yeah.
I want to lean towards comic version. Comic version absolutely pummels
the hardcore comic, not the I'm a kid and a man, because sometimes they do that too in the comic books. True
comic version, all of with his full power set, it is not a fight even. It is a superhero pummeling a child.
Really?
But yeah, it's not even.
But
movie
you
version,
need to be fair. Lots of times in the when it was a serial and all that stuff, there's times in story arcs where he's a kid in a man's body, but there's a lot more where it's not necessarily emphasized the kidness part of it.
I don't. You're giving credence to some writer who chooses to ignore powers, and I'm saying I don't care how some writer. I am saying the way this character is written, by his bio, he wins that fight without even breaking his sweat.
Sure. Okay.
He doesn't even realize he's fighting and he wins.
Exactly. I'm sorry, bro.
He exhales heavily and it's like, oh, you're down.
Exactly.
But I'm saying he's that powerful by his biography. But movie version, I don't know. Movie version is pretty close, I would say. I don't know.
You know how it goes down. Brie Larson shows up to the fight, realizes it's a white male, and just goes double supernova, realizes she has powers she never even knew, and it's just a crater left in the ground.
Did you notice I'm a woman?
Exactly.
And I'm empowered!
I'm not doing this fight for you.
And of course, she has the media on her side, so she has. So
That's right.
Shazam has
That's
it.
I think if you plop the movie characters in there, I think Captain Marvel handily takes care of Shazam because she's a trained fighter, and I put a lot of credence in skill and actually being a warrior. To a little kid who, that's how they wrote him, as a little kid in a man's body, would just get pummeled before he.
Here's the one thing I think: even in the movie, he is invulnerable. Unless you're, and she is not. She just is very strong, but she doesn't have that. I think invulnerability, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a real close fight. I probably tend to lean it towards Marvel Captain
Marvel.
Brie Larson, whatever. Carol Danvers. I'm not giving Brie Larson the credit. Carol Danvers probably takes the fight in the movie versions.
Okay,
but it's close.
So we got one.
She comes out with broken bones. Let me say that.
Okay, 1, 2 for. Did you also go for Carol Danvers?
It's Captain Marvel for me.
All right, Captain Marvel gives Shazam a beatdown, his first beatdown that on our HeroScape podcast. All right, thanks for tuning in. We love what we do. You love being you. Tune in next time.
Shazam.